Hi, I'm Christopher Eckdahl, and I'm reporting on the 2022 midterm Utah U.S. Senate election. And election day is going to be held on November 8th, 2022. So, the main two candidates in the Utah Senate election are Mike Lee of the Republican Party and Evan McMullin of the Independent Party. Kyle Weston was the only candidate to run the Democratic convention, but he didn't move on to the primary, leaving the Democratic Party without a candidate in this election. Talking about public opinion polls. Dating back to August 29th, independent candidate Evan McMullin has only been in the lead in two public opinion polls, while Republican candidate Mike Lee has led the rest. The first poll was held from August 29th to September 1st and was sponsored by McMullin himself. This poll had him at a 1% lead over Lee. The second poll was held from October 8th to the 11th and was sponsored by Put Utah First, a partisan sponsor for the Independent Party. This poll had him at a 6% lead over Lee. In the most recent public opinion poll from October 29th to the 30th, McMullin faced his smallest margin behind Lee at only 1%. But this poll was again sponsored by Put Utah First. Mike Lee faced his biggest margin of lead at 17% in a poll taken between September 13th to the 15th. However, this poll was sponsored by the NRSC, a partisan sponsor for the Republican Party. A poll taken between October 25th to the 28th had the largest sample size at 825 likely voters and had Lee at a 10% lead. The largest poll of registered voters at 815 people was taken between September 3rd to the 21st and had Lee at a 2% lead. The most recent average, updated on November 1st, had Lee at 48.5% and McMullin at 38.7%. And this average is accounting for each poll's quality, recency, sample size, and partisan lean. According to these public opinion polls, Mike Lee should win the Senate election, but it seems like a close race between him and McMullin. Now talking about the political issues faced in this election. A large issue voters are addressing in this Senate election are leaked text messages between Mike Lee and Mark Meadows, former President Trump's chief of staff. In these messages, Lee was found to be discussing different ways to challenge the result of the 2020 presidential election. After these messages were released, the Democratic Party immediately chose to back Evan McMullin, leading to a large number of voters in his favor. McMullin is using these messages to his benefit by stating that Lee is a threat to democracy, one of America's greatest ideals. He's even going as far as telling others to look past their opinions on subjects such as abortion and government spending in order to save American democracy. Lee is, on the other hand, is basing his campaign on issues such as the cost of living and is trying to stray away as much as he can from his text messages. McMullin is also using his status as an independent to his advantage, appealing to both the Republican and Democratic parties. However, in doing this, McMullin has to stay away from strong beliefs that can be assigned to either party in fear of losing voters from the other. My two media sources for this election are the newspaper Deseret News and local station KUTV. The Deseret News is the longest running news organization in Utah and the state's oldest continuously operating business. It is also owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and every week the Deseret News publishes a weekly edition delivered by mail. KUTV is a TV station based in Utah and a CBS television affiliate owned by the Sinclair Broadcast Group. Sinclair's television group reaches approximately 38.7% of U.S. television households. Now on the topic of campaign ads. In an ad funded by Club for Growth in support of Mike Lee, an interview done by Evan McMullin on CNN in 2017 was re-edited to twist his words and make it seem like he called all Republicans racist bigots. When watching the real interview, it is clear to see that McMullin's speech had different intentions and meanings. His true words were, Not all Republicans, of course, are racist. I was raised by Republicans who are not at all and who welcome Americans of all backgrounds and are not at all like this. But there is an element of the Republican base that is racist. This ad was an attempt at turning the Republican people against McMullin, securing their votes for Lee. McMullin then sued Club for Growth after airing this ad for altering his statements and taking them out of context with the intent of harming his campaign. McMullin had an attack ad of his own in which he tried to turn voters away from Lee. In the ad, McMullin points out Lee's association with Donald Trump, who had generated a lot of hate during his presidency. He also brings up Lee's leaked text messages, which included ways in which Trump's legal team should fight the results of the 2020 presidential election and try to overturn them. McMullin points out that these efforts of fighting American democracy isn't something we should have in our Senate, reasons why you should vote for him in the 2022 election. Talking about campaign financing, Mike Lee's biggest contributor of campaign funding has been from the PAC, or Political Action Committee Club for Growth, the same organization that aired his hate ad against Evan McMullin. Club for Growth have donated $133,365 towards his efforts. The biggest industry contributing to his campaign has been the retired community at $1,010,426. In total, Lee's campaign has raised $10,690,521. Club for Growth has also spent $3.7 million to oppose McMullin in different ads, such as the one I mentioned earlier. Evan McMullin's biggest campaign spender is the PAC Put Utah First, who spent a total of $5.1 million on his campaign against Lee. This Utah Senate race between Lee and McMullin is one of the most expensive in Utah history. Thank you.